What's up, everybody? It's your host, David Olomokoro, aka Connor. And if you're under the influence of my voice, you're tuned in to Coconut Head.
We need to really think about what is the point of education? What are we going to school for?
Yeah.
And is it in the interest of society that everybody goes through the system this way?
My name is Adalia Okosun.
And Samuel Williams.
Inside of it.
Yeah.
I think it's
You
all
want-
part of settle down. I don't want to settle. There's always a better. There's always.
I would
always
say,
a better option.
your phone is clean. When it's giving an evangelical vibe and you're telling me,
Where's the money going to come?
I said,
I am rich.
Amen.
I have money.
Yes, Jesus.
Receive it.
All right, guys, you know how it goes. My name is Chris. So awesomeness is in the building. Yes, and I'm here with Coconut Heads. It's amazing so far. And to be honest, I did not expect to be here, but we have a very, very dashing topic, and they needed the best in the business to bring it. And it's definitely me. Who else? Well, I'm not alone in the studio, as you know it. I'm with my very own, my big man, Sam.
Yes. Hello, it's Sam. We have our regular presenters are out on an emergency. So Chris is filling in.
As usual, because I'm awesome. Anyways, you know how we do it. Like, comment, subscribe, dash that notification bell if you want to get more of this content, because trust me, we're going to be giving you back to back to back to back. But either ways, let's get straight into it, yeah? We have a lot to discuss today. Are you guys buzzing? Yes, I am. Are you?
Yes, definitely so.
All right, what's our topic for today?
So today we're talking about mental resilience.
Mm-hmm.
So in this current age, we see that that Gen Z has a high rate of, how do I say, what do they call them? Deaths of despair.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so suicide, drug abuse,
Yeah.
basically things that show definitely poor mental health, or should
Mhm.
I say marks of poor mental ability or poor mental resilience.
Yeah.
So we're talking about in previous generations, were they more resilient, or should I say was the suffering and smiling generation? Did they have stronger heads?
Ooh.
Were they able to handle the emotional turmoil?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it that we are just having way worse problems now? So
Yeah.
that's what we're going to talk about.
That's deep. That's a lot.
He says that a lot. You should
That's
get
a
used
lot.
to it.
No, to be honest, yeah, because when I think of things like this, I just look back and I'll be like, you know what? If we look back, are we just not strong enough, or are we just going through this phase of,
Yeah.
you know, where you can say,
Are the problems exceptional, or are we just having a skill issue?
you know what? We're going to get back to this, but let's take a quick break first off, guys. You know how we do it. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, my people, you're welcome back to the show. It's still Chris O Jr. here. Awesomeness is in the building, and I'm still here locked in with Sam. And before we went on the break, we're talking about, the mental strength, especially of the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
And Sam, are you a Gen Z?
Definitely so.
Definitely so. I like that.
Doesn't sound. I
It-
don't sound
Like, there's no mix to your Gen Zism.
there's no mix.
Pure Gen Z.
It's 2000, so there's no mix.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
All right, so this question pops up every single time. Are Gen Zs just weak,
Yeah.
or is it that they just don't want to take any of the nonsense that the previous generation has taken? For example, millennials, yeah, there are so many things that we would have loved to do at some point in our lives, in our young age, but we just never did them.
Yes.
You get? Is that why Gen Zs now are getting so pissed when things don't go their way, and then you see them committing mass suicide, you see outbursts, you see a lot of protests, you see a lot of, there's a lot going on, especially on the internet. So tell me,
I
being
think
a
that-
Gen Z,
Being a Gen Z, I feel like our generation believes in progress.
mm-hmm.
We truly believe that if things aren't moving forward,
Yeah.
something is wrong. Because we've seen an explosion in globalization, an explosion in the world cultural changes.
Yeah.
We've lived in an era of progressive peace. Should I say in a certain sense, even though everybody is not experiencing at the same
Yeah,
level.
except in Sudan, and the rest of them.
Yes, everybody's not experiencing it at the same way.
Yeah.
But in general trends, the world is making progress.
So it's based on the trends.
Yeah, it's based on the trends.
Yeah.
Everything is getting better
Mm-hmm.
in general macroeconomic factors, but we're not seeing the same progress happening to our generation. So we say that baby boomers, they've seen themselves get richer, they've seen themselves, things have generally improved for their generation
Yeah. Yeah.
because the world has moved in that trend. But I believe we are entering the era where that trend is starting to buck a bit.
Yeah.
Things aren't moving as smoothly as it, and we've gotten used to it. We've grown up in the progressive era, so we are clasping onto that change and we're trying to push forward to maintain that trend.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think that is what makes Gen Z have that strong drive of change needs to continue moving because
Yeah.
it's not going to be our set
Yeah.
that ends up missing out on the progress that has been going
Okay.
on.
Okay. So my question now: why is it that they are now turning to debt as an escape route from some of these problems, or possibly drugs? They turn to misconceptions. They turn to change of attitude, change of personalities,
yeah,
change of so many changes, bro. I can't even start to list them, but there are so many changes that happen in the space of I want to be heard.
yeah,
Do they feel silenced?
Yeah, I think it's more having an awareness of what is going on. Like if you were in a millennial and you saw, okay, this is happening, you believe that it's happening to just you because you don't have access to the internet, you don't have access to.
Oh, I did. To be fair,
Well,
I
it
did. I
depends.
don't know about you.
We're not talking about late millennials, we're talking about the early ones.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow!
So
You had to throw shades there. Yeah? Nice.
it's an observation.
Okay.
So what we are saying is that
Mhm.
in our current, when you're in Gen Z, you have access to the internet, you have access to social media. When things happen, you don't feel like it's just you.
Okay.
Like
True.
when something happens to a millennial, it's just you. When it happens to Gen Z, it's a community.
Okay, wait, but I beg to differ there. Do you know why? Because personally, there are times when there are things that are going on in my life, and I know it's happening to my friends as well. For example, get first, become a doctor,
Yes.
become an engineer, become a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's the same roll call for everybody. It's not just me. But I'm pissed at it because I want to be an artist. Or let's say I want to be in entertainment. But that's not a job in a Nigerian family.
Yeah.
And as a millennial, I had no choice but to drop my entertainment dream
Yeah.
because it was making no headway and go be the lawyer that my parents want me to be.
Yeah.
So I wasn't feeling alone. I knew every other person was going through it. And this wasn't even online. Like I could see my friends physically as well, striving for first.
Yeah.
But how come I didn't feel, alone?
I think it's like millennials are more willing to accept it because your perspective is limited to Nigeria. Like you say, okay,
Wow.
if I can't be the artist, if
Mhm.
that is not truly represented in your environment,
Yeah.
you don't feel like you're missing out on much. You don't know what a success, like in the Nigerian context, what does a successful artist really look like? Before, you don't really
It has
have
to,
much
it
of
has
a
to be,
sense.
Michael Jackson.
It's like limited. You feel like, okay, it's not close by.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Gen Z person and you say, okay, I want to be a YouTuber, I want
It feels closer.
it
like,
feels closer,
yeah,
it feels within reach.
possible.
Like it feels possible. Now we go into parasocial relationships where people have built all this online presence,
Mhm.
and then you start to conflate reality with your online presence.
Mhm.
So your relationship with people online is almost as real as your relationship with people in reality.
Yeah.
So that makes it feel okay if I'm not able to live the way I like oh, my favorite YouTuber in Japan or my favorite streamer in Russia or China. It feels more like an injustice because why should they be able to live the way I want to live and
Yeah.
I should not be able to?
So Gen Zs generally believe that anything that's happening there should be happening here.
Yeah, anything that happens
Because it's
anywhere
possible.
on earth, it's possible.
It's
I should be
possible
able to
here.
have it.
Yeah. But we know that in reality terms, everything is not possible.
Everything is not possible.
Volcanoes happen abroad in Europe, but it never happens in Africa.
Yeah.
And it will never happen in Jesus' name. But the
Thankfully,
fact is, in a Gen Z's mind, whatever is happening there should be happening here.
it should be
There
possible.
should be possibility of that thing happening. But we both know that the system is rigged.
Yeah.
System is not really favorable for young
Yes.
people. So how is this possible?
It's not that it has to be possible.
Hmm.
If it can happen, then something has to give.
Yeah.
Like I think that the millennial generation, if something isn't happening, it's because that is how it is. Like that. Okay, when you talk about a
That's
problem,
just
they
the way
say
it is.
this is Nigeria.
Not so live.
You have to accept it like that.
Not so.
But
yeah.
for Gen Z, it says, okay, why does it need to be like that? we ask why. We can't just tell us. It can't just have us accept. Okay, it's like this and accept it like that. It can't be like that. It needs to give us a good explanation. There needs to be a reason.
There
And
has to
because
be a
we
reason.
have access to so much information, so we can say, okay, this is why it is. So let's
Yeah.
go and do something about
So
it.
is the information the problem?
It's information.
It's
If you don't
both
know you're
positive and
suffering, how
negative.
can you suffer?
Hmm.
Suffering is a mental thing.
Mhm.
If you don't think you're suffering, you won't suffer.
Okay.
People go through the same experience, and some people have a positive outlook about it,
Mhm.
and other people feel very negatively about it. It comes down to your personality, it comes down to your disposition, and it comes down to what you think is right.
Hmm.
Like, you can say, okay, this is wrong a bit, but I think that another thing is that Gen Z is more outspoken about our concerns about the situation.
Yeah.
We can't just suffer and go through it. We need to say something.
But some things that Gen Zs now consider suffering has been the reality of a lot of millennials' lives. Gen Zs get depressed over some things that some millennials lived with all of their life.
Yeah.
Why
just
is that
because
so?
you live through it doesn't mean it's right. Or doesn't just because it's reality doesn't mean that that's how things can always be. I think it's this idea of progression.
Yeah.
My parents suffered this doesn't mean I have to suffer it.
Yeah.
I think a popular saying parents say is that, oh, I did not suffer my parents, so you can't.
I did not kill my parents. You will not kill me.
It doesn't for Gen Z. It's my parents suffered this, so I shouldn't suffer it as well.
Yeah.
Two generations should not have the same problems. That is the understanding that we have.
Mm.
So why should you suffer this and I suffer it as well? There should be progression. You got bullied doesn't mean that I have to get bullied.
So
That
now,
is the
now
idea.
what Gen Z would do if he gets bullied,
I'm
he
going
gets
to
he,
ri-
he
I'm going
takes
to
a
riot-
knife,
I'm
he
going
takes
to
a
riot
knife
about
and
it.
stabs the person back, or he posts it online,
'Cause
or
that is
then he
how it
commits
is.
suicide.
That is how it is.
I don't really see suicide as a positive way to like. I know it's a cry out for help, but it's not positive.
Yeah. I think another thing
Suicide
that
is not positive.
if you want to commit suicide in like an earlier generation,
Mm.
there's less things that would actually encourage you.
No, you always remember that if you kill yourself, you will go to fire. That's the
Even
thing.
despite that, people
That's what
still
my
kill
mother said.
themselves.
So
Despite that, people
why
still
do
kill
Gen Zs
themselves.
find it easy to kill themselves?
I think it's because now you know more about how to kill yourself, and you're more likely to go through with it.
Wow.
Because if you can, like, okay, you go online.
Mhm.
If you were in the past and you wanted to think about how to kill yourself, where will you start?
I would go upstairs to the decking, think of my life, come down and go and try to get
Yeah,
first.
you're more likely to be dissuaded
Yeah.
while you're thinking about it, because
Mhm.
killing yourself is not easy.
Because you
might
go
say,
to
okay,
hell.
will I use rope? No, that one is painful.
Yeah.
Or will I use knife? No, that is also
Mhm.
painful. Okay, I need to go and drink rat poison.
Hmm.
While you're going through all that thinking, and you're considering,
And you don't have
ruminating-
money to buy the rat poison, just to be clear.
Yeah. While you're ruminating on all of those things, you
Mhm.
might change your mind.
So Gen Zs now, they have money to buy the rat poison.
It's not just
They have
about-
access to kill themselves. They
It's
can
not just
literally
about having
Google
access
how
to
to kill
kill
myself
yourself.
and do it.
I think it's also that death has been desensitized a lot in movies and terms of movies, shows.
Yeah. There's always
There's a lot of
suicides in-
media about
Yeah.
suicide.
Yeah.
So people are more likely to able to implement it. Because you
Mm.
say, okay, it doesn't look painful because, oh, they just drank rat poison and she just slept.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
But when you think about killing yourself earlier generation, you think of people struggling how you're going to struggle to do this.
Yeah. So
And
the,
you might change your mind.
the Gen
or
Zs,
halfway.
the Gen Zs, do they really believe in the afterlife and the fact that you could actually go to hell for taking your own life?
I think that is a whole different topic. Spirituality is a whole different topic.
Mm.
I think people are not necessarily religious, but are more spiritual now.
These days, yeah.
Yeah. So people are more likely to have diverse views about life and death.
Okay, so let's talk drugs. Why do
Yeah.
they turn to drugs a lot? For comfort?
I think it
Is
just
it
comes down
for-
to accessibility.
But-
If you want, if you
drugs
can-
drugs were accessible even in my time. But when you see somebody like, see here, when I where where I grew up, Kokoba, they are smoking on a daily, bro. Literally every day you see people smoking. Do you know what I do?
Yeah.
You hold your breath and you just pass. And by the time you get like fire,
you can smell it
because
on them.
you hear things like, if you perceive it, especially from my mom, you will die. You that is perceiving it, you will die more than the person smoking.
Yeah.
But Gen Z's now, it's like high is not even high enough. Overdosing is like when they OD, that's when it's
I
happening.
think it's an awareness of, okay, drugs have been desensitized because
Mhm.
of.
But we have more NGOs talking about drugs and trying to heal
just
people.
because you talk about it doesn't mean that people listen to you.
True.
Yeah.
Fair
So
enough.
people more likely prefer to listen to things that, okay, they see rappers, they see musicians.
So
They see
would you get
popular
influenced?
people
Will you get
talking
influenced by that? Will you get influenced by
No,
a
not
musician?
really. But I don't think that I'm the rule. I'm more the exception in this case.
Oh, really? Einstein.
I
Nice.
wouldn't say it's not about intelligence. It's about disposition.
Okay.
Some people are more predisposed to those type of things because they consume it so liberally. They
Mhm.
don't see it as anything special.
Okay.
Plus, I think it's another thing that a lot of the hype around prohibition on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of genuine fear, but there was a lot of misplaced aggression.
Yeah.
And Gen Z look at it and say, okay, you guys were wrong about this, and
Yeah.
that means that everything else you say was invalid.
You know, we're going to come back to this on drugs, yeah? Because this is deep. This is very, very deep. Well, guys, you know how it is. Let's take a quick break, yeah? Let's take a break. Let's drink some water. Let me get my body flowing because some things I've heard now, I've choked my head. But anyway, it's also nice to see you in the building. I'm still with Sam. We'll be right back. Yeah, my people, you're welcome back to the show. Yes, you know it is Coconut Head because we know the hear word. My name is Chris O Jr. They all call me Awesomeness, 99.9%. The only boy that is in the hype man is in the building. And I have Sam with me in the building as well.
Yes.
It's been amazing
And we
so
didn't
far.
put a disclaimer. I just remembered we didn't put a disclaimer for triggering words.
Yeah. We should put that. We should put that up
Yes.
real soon.
We'll do it in post.
Definitely. I think we
Yes.
will. By the way, Sam, now, before we went on the break, we were talking about the fact that Gen Zs, the way they are falling into this whole suicide and drug thingy. And you raised some good points. Well, as well, off cam, we're also talking and we just got new words in. You know, our time here, when they say people should not commit suicide, it was not just about you.
Yeah.
It was more about the family. There was a whole lineage thing to it. Like, my parents did not kill themselves. You cannot kill yourself. And there are people who go and check your backstory. If they find out that someone killed themselves from your family or someone ran mad from your family, they're not going to marry into that family.
Yeah.
Do you feel like Gen Zs have lost that sense of touch, let's say, with their families?
I feel like traditional taboos are less of a consideration because Gen Z is more of an individualistic type of generation.
So it's more about self-love and me alone.
Yes, it's about self-love, me and me alone. And if your family is involved, that means we are doing it in a way that benefits you as well. Your love for your family is something that should benefit you as well. There's something like,
But it's not always like
I can't
that.
kill myself for everybody.
Greater love is it that he laid down his life for his friends.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, we talk about that. But we don't talk about, you're laying down your life for your friends, but your friends going to lay down their lives for you. I
Yeah.
think that is Gen Z consideration. Why should I kill myself for other people? Are they going to kill themselves for me?
But you know that your parents will do anything for you.
Yes.
But
that's the
why
difference,
do you
yes.
still find most of the things they
I
tell
think
you
a lot of things
as
that they say is
archaic?
that, yes, if I kill myself, I think that is also another understanding of mental health. When you're in a situation that you feel, I'm going to kill myself, it's most likely, I've already struggled for so long, and I'm just giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And this is your way to
Zs-
end the pain.
Gen Z's ending the pain are so young. So why do they think that they have gone through so much and there's no turning back? It's that they have to now say, you know what, this is it. This is the height of it. I want to end myself.
I think it's maybe that if you decide to kill yourself,
At 19?
it's not really about what you've experienced, it's about your disposition for it. Because there's a lot of understanding of trauma. Like, let's say that an earlier generation got sexually abused.
Yeah.
You might say you will not tell anybody about it because we are afraid of the backlash or the response.
True.
But if somebody like that happens to a Gen Z child, you're aware of what is going on. There's a lot of knowledge and information about these kind of things.
Yeah.
So when it happens, you're going to be even more affected because you know that a great crime has happened to you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have somebody to talk about it or you cannot manage your emotions properly, suicide seems like an active solution. Like for an earlier generation, you just say, you might even block it out. Like people that say,
Like
something
me,
happens to you as
God
a child.
forbid, God
Just say,
forbid,
it's happening to
regularly.
everybody now. So it's not a problem, or
Yeah.
you feel stigmatized about it because it's more open. You feel the wounds that you open up. You feel it more deeply.
So that means it still boils down to what we said in the first half of the show where I was talking about the information.
Yeah.
There's so much information now that there's even now too much information out there.
Yeah.
So would you agree that Gen Z are most likely consuming even too much both positive and negative information? Even even more negative.
Yeah, that is the double-edged sword of knowledge. When you know more, you open the door to different things happening to you. Whether knowledge is good or bad, it depends on the situation.
Rah.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of Gen Z, a lot of the access to information has broadened our horizons, but it
Mm.
has also created more opportunities for us to go astray.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So we're now living in a dispensation, where you can literally reach for the sky, but at the same time fall from the sky.
You can reach for the sky and fall to hell.
Wow,
is the
that's the
difference.
abyss.
Yes.
Down, down, down.
That is the bottom.
No two ways.
So rock bottom is deeper now.
Wow.
Because it's not just that you're suffering, but you have an awareness of your suffering.
So
That
Gen
makes it
Zs are
worse.
actually strong mentally, but they're just faced with so much different traumatic
challenges.
problems.
Yes.
So what we consider as a normal life in our time as millennials,
Yeah.
it's now traumatic
Yes.
to a present day Gen Z.
Like if you fail as a millennial, you're failing against Nigeria.
you fail
you feel
the
as-
world.
You feel like you're failing against Nigerians
Mhm.
because those are who you're competing against.
Mm.
It's your cousin or your friend that you knew in high school
Mhm.
or so family
So it
members
was a
that you're
limited
competing
failure.
against. There's a limited failure. But in Gen Z, if you fail, you're failing against everybody on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everybody that you can see their story, everybody that you can see their life,
Mhm.
you're failing against all of them.
Yeah.
And that
So
is
there's
the weight
more
of it.
mental pressure.
It's more of a mental pressure.
So being online, to be fair, doesn't even really help.
It does, because if you succeed, you're succeeding against everybody.
Yeah. And you can now
So
post happy
that is
pictures.
the upper height. You
Posting
can-
happy pictures.
Yes, you can post your happy pictures and you can feel, oh yes, right, I'm winning against everybody. I'm winning against the entire world.
Your generation
and you
is
feel
in
like,
deep
okay, my
trouble.
opportunities. I'm basically like, if you become a successful doctor, you're not a successful Nigerian doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You can go abroad and you can say, okay, I'm a successful doctor everywhere.
Mm.
So you say, okay, I graduated as a doctor, and then you see somebody in South Korea that also graduated as a doctor,
Mm.
and you feel that camaraderie that, oh, they've achieved the same thing. But in Nigeria,
Yeah.
if you succeed as a doctor, you're just a Nigerian doctor now.
Yeah.
That is how that generation was.
Mhm.
It's also a good success,
Mm.
but it doesn't have this global appeal.
Yeah. Because it's just within your parents.
I
For your
think there's
parents to
this-
be happy.
Yeah, plus there's
And
this
that's why we have
global
more
trend.
millennials that would say, I graduated, give my parents certificate, and that was it.
Yes. But Gen Z, okay, I succeeded. I say, okay, where can I go with this?
Mm.
What does my success mean to the rest of the world, to the rest of my
Mm.
generation?
Gen Z don't want to stop here.
Yes.
It's taking over the world.
Yeah.
So to be fair, Gen Zs are actually a very brave generation.
Yeah.
Instead of them being so sort of the weak generation, as quote unquote people
They are
want
the
to
brave
put
generation
it.
that is facing the new frontier because the
Mm.
world is changing rapidly, and we are going to be the first people that will deal with it, and we'll have to figure out how to live in this new world that
Yeah.
is developing.
And some of you became teenagers in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So literally, you were stuck at home, discovering things about yourselves newly, and then you had to now start going out again.
Yeah.
And then some just went so wild. How has it been for Gen Zs to cope in a like? I heard of the cholera outburst in Nigeria, but I never saw it personally.
Yes. You hear
You get?
about it, but
I only
you
hear
don't
about it. I heard about the war. I heard about the killing of twins. I've always read history. I literally did history to SS3,
Yeah.
but never experienced any of them. But Gen Zs have been able to read about things and
Don't
also
just read
experience
about it,
some of
you
them.
see the pictures, you see the images.
You see the images, you
You hear
stand
people talk
very
about
close
it.
to you.
Gen Z, it feels as if every member of Gen Z
Mm.
can explore the world from a first-person perspective. Anybody that has documented something online, as long as you can interact with it,
Mm.
you can learn about it like you've experienced it. So
Yeah,
we've started more, but we've traveled a bit. We've traveled mentally. I
yeah.
think that's the sense of it.
And do you think that's positive or negative?
It depends because a lot of people don't have the maturity for that. So you say, okay, I've experienced things,
Mhm.
but I have a lopsided understanding of it. So you have more information but less nuance.
Wow. So how would you advise parents? Because this is not just for the young people, but parents are watching as well. How do you advise a parent right now to be able to raise a Gen Z child, keep that Gen Z child alive, away from drugs, and keep that child in the right space of mind?
I think I don't really know how to
Because
give advice to
you're
parents.
a Gen Z, and definitely you know what your mates are doing.
Yes,
And I cannot
don't
give
really know how
advice
to
for
give
you.
advice to parents.
What should parents
I-
be doing more? Because I really feel like like when I was talking, I talked about things that my mom said and my dad said, and that made me not to ever want to do this other stuff because I know that I would disgrace my family, my honor, my village, my world
I don't think that Gen Z, you can appeal to Gen Z people with that type of
with that type of mentality. So
Because a lot
how
of
do
them are
parents
very
now cope with Gen Zs?
individualistic. So what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
you need to appeal to what they care about.
Okay.
I think that a lot of Gen Z, they have different moral standards than older generations, but they have a very, very strong sense of morality and a very strong sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
So our right and wrong is different, but my conviction in right and wrong is very much stronger than your own. Like I think that younger generations were more like you can bend the rules a bit. Gen Z, we have less rules, but the rules that we have are more clear. You can look at it in cancel culture.
Yeah.
When we feel you've done something wrong, we're
Yeah.
willing to delete you from society.
ASAP.
That is the depths of it.
Yeah.
I think that is the extremes of it. So you need to give people a certain sense of balance, so
Yeah.
we don't go to too great of an extreme
Okay.
when expressing our individuality.
True. I wish we could take all of them, but this is actually the last question I'm going to ask you. Do you feel Gen Zs are more accepted?
More
Yes or no?
accepted. I don't really know.
Like, because I've seen people say they are not appreciated, they don't feel heard, they don't feel listened to. We've seen outbursts of equality, we've seen talks, both black, white, Asian, African, Gen Zs especially, they want to be heard more often. Do you feel that Gen Zs are being silenced?
I think we talk more, but it feels like people are listening less and less. That is the issue. Everybody's talking more, but people
Yeah.
are listening less.
Okay, so how can you advise another Gen Z to also be mentally stable? Because there's a lot of tantrums, to be fair. Tantrums among Gen Zs, even within themselves. Did you see this recent trend where there were talks about this person exposing this person with a particular sound on Twitter?
Yes.
And they were all exposing themselves. A best friend exposing the other best friend.
Yeah.
And that was sickening for me to watch. I couldn't even look at it.
I think it's just people having the tools to do the things that people letting intrusive thoughts win. That is basically it. You let
So
intrusive
what
thoughts
would you
win.
tell to a Gen Z right now to make the person mentally stable? Or how can they become a little bit mentally stable?
I think that we need to have more restraint. It's like, don't do the first thing that comes to your mind. I don't think there's any better advice to it. You need
Yeah.
to stop and think about it and think about things more.
Yeah.
Because
Most times,
we are
Gen
in
Zs
a
do
we're in a young age. Our emotions are rampant, and we have the tools to assassinate people's character very easily.
to assassinate.
What you needed
literally
a media
character.
company to do before, any
Yeah.
child can do.
Yeah,
with
with the internet.
the little skill. It doesn't take much effort.
Yeah.
So I think that what we need to think about more is restraint.
So you should always be able to think twice.
Yeah.
That's one thing millennials
That's
do.
not even big advice. It's just restraint. Before you do something, you need to think about it more.
Yeah.
Because we feel okay, you are living your best life. You have to do things quickly.
But millennials, we think a lot about things before we make moves. But then it is seen as overthinking.
Yeah.
So do you think thinking as well could also be negative?
It can also be negative, but everything, there's no like silver bullet answer. It's always a mix of both. You need to find balance.
Yeah.
So don't overthink and don't get decision paralysis. Don't
What's
think when you think so much that you never end up making the decision.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
English. Crazy.
Uh,
All right.
yes.
That's massive decision paralysis.
Yeah.
Like I'm paralyzed in my decisions so
Yeah.
many times. Like red or blue, red or blue, red or blue, red or blue. And then I just wear red. And then, you're considered a cultist. and
Yeah.
all of that.
Because not every decision is so important.
Mm.
But doesn't mean that everything you think about, you just have to do it. Sometimes you need to show restraint.
Yeah.
I think that is where maturity comes from. Maturity is knowing when to show restraint.
So are Gen Zs mature?
Maturity is a very subjective term.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
what do you really think is mature? I've come to the understanding that adults and children, the only difference is that people have greater expectations of adults. That is all. But
True.
but you see a lot of adults that behave very childishly, and you see a lot of children that behave in a very mature fashion. It comes down to having a good disposition.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. You should have a, how do I say, restraint when it's necessary, and you should act when it's necessary. That is what maturity is, knowing when to be restrained and knowing when to act.
So a lot of Gen Zs, like, if you want to give a percentage, would you say Gen Zs are 50% mature, or could you give
I think
a
that's
percentage
fair.
to it?
Yeah, let's say 50%.
50% of Gen Zs are mature.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
say 50%.
Because a lot of them are older than the way they
Yeah,
look.
because everybody can't be crazy. I like to believe that social media is overblown. Well,
True.
what we see on social media is overblown.
True.
So definitely not everybody that is crazy.
So if I'm to ask you, not being partial, not being biased, yeah, Gen Zs and millennials, if you could pick one, which one would you be?
neither.
Neither of them.
Yes.
So which one would you be? The Alpha, Gen Alpha?
I don't
or-
think it really means anything because every generation has flaws that basically are a deal breaker. So I'm not going to pick. I'm going to take the one that I'm already am. So I'm sticking with Gen Z.
All right. That's cool. That's cool.
It's good to accept what you are.
You give me Rema vibes.
Rema vibes. What?
if that's a real thing.
I'm going to restrain my comments. This is the time for restraint.
Better you do. Better you do. Anyways, guys, it's been amazing having Sam with me. And you know how we do with this awesomeness in the building. What can I say? I gotta bring the show. But if you want more of this, you have to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell and make sure you give us a lot of ratings. Yes, we're going to be listening to us on every podcast platform. So make sure that your ears are open. Give us a like. Just like it. Because you like it. So why acting like you don't like it? You know what? I'll give you a minute. Subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. It's down there, right? Done? You're done? All right, nice. I look forward to seeing you some other time. My name is Chris O Jr. Bye for now.